President-elect Trump preparing to take the oath of office once again today as he becomes the first president in more than a century who will be inaugurated to a non-consecutive second term. And the soon-to-be president says he will issue close to 100 executive orders today alone. Joining me now, I have Senator James Lankford, Republican from Oklahoma. Congressman, it's always good to have you. Thank you for hopping on with me on such a big day.
You bet. It is a big day. Common sense returns today.
And let me get to that in just a moment. But first, I'd be remiss not to just start with the breaking news that just came into our newsroom within the last 15 minutes or so. These preemptive pardons that President Biden just issued with 4.5 hours left in office for those who investigated the Capitol 6, attack General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci, about 10 Congress members, at least of my count, who investigated it. Your response to that this morning in his 11th hour?
Yeah, not surprised. He's been floating this for a while. In the past 10 days or so, President Biden has pardoned just thousands of criminals that are out there, thousands of people, hundreds of those that had committed major crimes, commuted sentences from death penalty for folks that were murderers of other folks to then commute those sentences. And now actually just saying, President Trump can't actually prosecute anyone or go into any government official that might have committed some act. So don't even investigate them because you're not going to be able to convict them. That's really the message that Biden is trying to be able to get to. So it is one last shot from President Biden. There may be even more in the hours ahead, but we're not surprised by it.
Yeah, and several of these members on the list, Senator Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Adam Schiff, they've all said publicly they didn't want these pardons. They didn't feel like they needed them. Any idea how they or some of your other colleagues are feeling about that this morning?
I haven't heard a statement or seen a statement from them yet, but Liz Cheney was very outspoken and said, hey, I did nothing wrong, so don't pardon me on it. But obviously President Biden overruled that and just issued a preemptive pardon, something along the lines of what he did for Hunter Biden, to be able to say anything they might have done during this time period, you just can't prosecute them. So again, this is very, very expansive. What President Biden did has not been done since Gerald Ford when he pardoned just Nixon. But Biden is now having these expansive pardons to say, don't even go after, don't investigate, don't even ask questions anymore on that, which certainly will still have questions because the facts need to come out. We need to make sure that things like what Dr. Fauci was doing and some of the research, finding out what was happening in the Wuhan lab, we're going to get the answers to those questions because we need to learn for the next time. It's not vindictive. This is not using lawfare like Biden did. This is trying to be able to actually preemptively make sure we never make these mistakes again.
Yeah. Well, major breaking news. Thank you for starting off with me on that. We'll see how President Trump responds to it today. I'm sure he will. I saw yesterday on social media, you and your wife toured the Rotunda room ahead of today, where it's all going to go down in just a few hours from now. What will your vantage point be today of inauguration?
I will be in the Rotunda. We'll have a lot of Oklahomans that are just kind of scattered around different places. Some are coming into my office, actually, just to get a warm spot to be able to watch. Some will be in different restaurants or different places. Some are going to Capital One. But we have 250,000 people that have come into Washington, D.C., and they're all going to find a warm spot to be able to watch it today.
Yeah, talk about a comeback moment, not just for President Trump, but also the Republican Party as a whole. I keep thinking to this and asking guests this morning, but at the end of the day today, Senator Lankford, when the sun sets, what do you hope he has signed, sealed, and delivered on in terms of executive orders and kept campaign promises?
So there are some rumors at this point that he may do up to 200 executive orders today. That would be on border security. It would be on energy permitting. It would be on some of the executive agencies to be able to change how they actually function, taking out the DEI portions of the different executive agents, which are billions of dollars in cost across. That there'll be a lot of things that he's going to engage with like that. We in the Senate today, we're going to hopefully pass Marco Rubio into State Department, John Ratcliffe into CIA. Those are priority people to be able to get in right immediately day one. We'll pass the Lake and Riley Act. So while the president is signing executive action dealing with border, we're going to actually do legislation today on enforcement. And so that will advance his tools in his toolbox as well for enforcement at the border. So there's quite a bit to do just today. And then we still have tax policy and multiple other pieces in the days ahead.
Yeah. And speaking of, the financial part of things, you and I have talked extensively about you being a member of the new Department of Government Efficiency Caucus. DOGE. You're looking to get Congress on board with some of these major spending cuts. What could we realistically see on that today, you think?
So several things the president could do. In fact, he announced yesterday in his rally, we're going to work on cutting spending, and day one on that will be things like the DEI initiatives that are an agency. Say that's actually an area where most Americans would say we don't need to spend money on this. We need to provide equal opportunity for every single American, where everyone is treated exactly the same on that. That's the basis of who we are as Americans. So that's one area of efficiency. We've already worked through areas looking for duplication in government. He can work on that specifically day one with some of the executive actions, start to be able to pursue that, and then putting a budget process in place. We've got to get a budget for this year within 7 weeks now. And so there's a lot of work to be done to be able to work exactly on that point. So this is beginning day with when common sense starts returning. It's going to take a while to be able to roll some of these things out, but it gets started today.
Yeah. Well, Senator Lankford, I have to end it there, but I always appreciate your time, and especially on such a big day such as this, appreciate a few moments of it. Thanks.
Good to see you again. Keep praying for the day.
Thank you. You too.